What do you do when your life is falling apart and no amount of trying is making it better? 10 years ago, this was me. I had been married to my high school sweetheart for 25 years. He was a lawyer, I was a doctor, we had 3 kids, a house, and a dog. I thought we were handling life pretty well. It turns out we weren't. He hadn't actually been handling much of anything for a while. Unbeknownst to me, he had been sliding quietly into severe depression. I had been taught as a physician to think critically and solve problems, especially other people's problems. So that's what I did. I read endlessly. I leaned into logic, data, research, and the evidence. And I tried to manage every single moving piece. In medicine, we're taught that control is safety. My brain was like a browser with 50 tabs open. How do I fix this? What can I do to prevent disaster, mitigate harm, eliminate regret? How do I ensure that absolutely everything turns out okay? It turns out that if this was what I was hoping for, I was asking the wrong questions. These questions were not my fault. I was taught to ask them, and you probably were too. We were told to avoid mistakes, prepare for worst-case scenarios, weigh the risks and benefits, assess pros and cons. We were taught that good decisions come from logic, data, research, and the evidence. We were also told that there is no place for emotion in complex problem solving, especially when the stakes were high, that emotions would cloud our judgment. What if this is not true? What if we have been trying to solve human problems without the very element that makes us human, emotions? What if more clarity does not come from more effort and more data, but from more heart? 2 years in, things got so stressful and messy, I took time off of work. And when a doctor takes time off of work, it means things are really bad. I did what people do when their life is falling apart, especially if you grew up in Berkeley, California. I went to yoga. That day on our mat, the teacher invited us to bring our hands to our heart, close our eyes, pause, and breathe. For the first time in a very long time, years, I slowed down. With my eyes closed, I stopped scanning outside myself for solutions. And with my hands on my heart, I finally got quiet enough to listen. Our hearts hold wisdom that our minds do not have access to. On the surface, we looked like an overstretched family in the busy season of life with a mental health crisis pushing us over the edge. Underneath, in the calm and quiet, it was clear that something much deeper was going on. In the stillness, a question arose, one that I had never thought to ask myself before. What would love do? This simple question brought surprising clarity and an unfamiliar sense of peace. It wasn't a misaligned corporate law job or too much travel baseball. Neither was it not enough yoga or not enough downtime or not enough date nights. The underlying issue was that my husband was neurodivergent and we were in a neurodiverse marriage. Now, I'm a pediatrician who diagnoses autism all the time, but I was unable to recognize it in my own home and in my own husband until I connected with my heart. I had not been ignoring it or in denial for 25 years. I had simply been using the wrong lens and asking the wrong questions. Fixing, managing, and solving had left me spinning. Logic, data, research, and all that evidence had failed me. They're likely failing you too. Individually and collectively, connection, compassion, and healing continue to elude us. Disconnection, conflict, and exhaustion are sadly our societal norm. Why? What's missing? The one thing they explicitly told us to leave out of decision-making and problem-solving: love. Now, I'm not talking about the butterflies of falling in love, or the sentimental moments in a rom-com, or even my secret love of Diet Coke. Love as an emotion is grounded. It connects and it heals. It's honest, it's vulnerable, and it's courageous. Decisions made from fear, catastrophizing, guilt, and scarcity, those are often mislabeled as loving. They are not. Neither is martyrdom or fixing things that are not yours to fix. Those are something else entirely. The practice of love, just like the practice of medicine, is committed to doing no harm. When you make decisions from a place of love, your brain does not replace the data and the evidence. It refines them. It weaves them in thoughtfully and seamlessly into your problem solving and decision making. When you ask yourself what love would do, rarely do you regret the answer. So these days, I ask myself what love would do all the time. And when I do, I bring my hands to my heart, I close my eyes, I pause, and I breathe, just like I did that day. It turns out this is not actually some woo-woo yoga thing. There's actually science behind it. When you bring one hand to your heart, you release oxytocin, which is the hormone responsible for connection, love, and safety. When you place your other hand atop, cortisol, your primary stress hormone, decreases. And when you close your eyes and breathe, your physiology shifts. Your nervous system literally relaxes. All of this shifts your brain into a state of calm and creativity, and it activates your amygdala, that part of your brain that's responsible for emotional processing. So what does all that mean? It means that the decisions you make will be aligned, and you will be unlikely to regret them. So give it a try. Bring your hands to your heart and close your eyes. And think of a challenge. It could be big or little. It might be about your spouse. It might be about a teenager or your aging parents. It could be as significant as an end-of-life care decision or a career pivot, or as simple as whether to exercise or sneak another Diet Coke. When you're ready, take a breath and ask yourself, what would love do? What would love do for you first and always? What would love do for the others involved? And what would love do for the greater world? Notice the shift, the truth-telling, the inner knowing. And you can open your eyes and lower your hands, but remember that feeling. You might not like what bubbles up. It's usually not pretty and tidy, but it's always true. The quality of the questions that you ask, especially the emotions behind them, determines the quality of the answers that you receive. And it bears repeating that the questions you ask from a place of love rarely lead to regret. So what happened to us? When I told my husband about neurodiversity and explained to him what it was, he agreed with my diagnosis 100%. To him, it was simple. To me, not so much. Over time, we have learned to meet each other as we are, with much more grace and compassion. And we have learned to use our differences in complementary rather than conflicting ways. We are still married. In fact, one of the only things in my life that hasn't changed since I started asking this question is my husband. Neither of us works in a traditional law or doctor job anymore. In fact, we moved out of the city after 30 years to a farm where we live and work together, helping burnt out, fear and logic-driven physicians heal and find meaning through heart-based decision-making. Love opens doors that you never knew existed. This question hasn't just been pivotal for us. It has proven transformative across generations, geography, gender, situations and settings, even cultures. It truly is the most powerful question that we are not asking. Imagine a world where, when faced with a difficult decision or a challenging problem, we paused and placed our hands on our hearts and asked ourselves, what would love do? Our homes would change, workplaces, healthcare. Our world would be a much kinder and healthier place. Sharing this question and continuing to live into it myself is what love would do. So I invite you all, the next time you feel exhausted, disconnected, overwhelmed, and stuck, step out of reactivity. Stop trying to solve it from a place of fear, logic, effort, and control. Bring your hands to your heart, close your eyes, take a breath, and ask yourself, what would love do?